This is Partners in Crime with Adam Croft and Robert Daws.
Hello, happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Partners in Crime, as we possibly have a new government, or maybe not, we don't know, because we're recording this, of course, prior to last night's election, which sounds very weird saying that on a Tuesday, 2 days before it.
Well, at least we're not making any predictions, are we?
We'd better not, actually, because it's already shaping up to be a tumultuous week. So we've really no idea the way things are going to go. But, yeah, just worth chopping in there that it's...
Just good luck, everyone.
Yeah, I think we're going to need it. Yes, it's also a busy day today, as I pretend it's Friday, because that sees the release of this book in front of me, which is my 9th Night in Culverhouse book called In Plain Sight. I'm going to let you hear it.
Oh, isn't that a thing of... Oh, that strikes a wonderful note.
It does. It's a lovely sounding book.
A percussive one.
Yes.
I quite like it. And so, it's called In Plain Sight, which, of course, it very much is, as you wave it in front of my nose.
Well, I'm hoping that'll be my recommendation of the week. I recommend that you go out and read my own book.
Is that another wonderful Stuart cover?
Wonderful Stuart beige cover, yes, wonderful cover design. Do you want to read the back of it? It sounds a little bit weird me doing it.
Yes, I would love to read the back
of it. And of course, we don't write our own stuff on this show, so...
Oh, look, that's rather Hopper-esque, that front cover, isn't it?
I love it.
Yes, I will read the book. This is going to be sight writing, and hopefully there is going to be no mention of the SEX word that threw everything out of kilter.
Not this week.
Last week. Right, here we go. This is Adam Crofts in Plain Sight. A trail of death, a web of corruption, the ultimate betrayal. A series of armed robberies on local petrol stations leaves Milton Heath CID chasing their tails. But things are about to get a whole lot worse. When an elderly woman is killed during an armed raid on her jewellery shop, Knight and Culverhouse realise one of their own is involved, a police officer. With the future of Milton Heath CID at stake and the lives of their loved ones under threat, time is running out, fast. As they begin to investigate the web of corruption, they discover just how deep it runs and how close to home. But are they prepared for the truth? Boom, boom, boom.
There you go. So that one's a lot of fun writing. It's definitely a big book in the series.
Did you enjoy it? Did this one flow from your...
It did, actually, yeah.
Imagination?
It's probably the biggest book in the series yet,
right.
Due to the twists and turns in there and the events that will certainly turn the series on its head.
It's number 9. That's quite an achievement, isn't it? Really, 9... My God, when you consider all the other things you do and all the other books you write, but to Knight and Culverhouse, this is where it all began with these two.
Yeah.
Did it not?
Yeah, they've got a lot to answer for.
Right, well, I'm looking forward to reading that. In fact, I'm going to take that away with me over Christmas.
Good. And of course, if you do want to get that, then, and if you haven't yet bought a book from Kobo, then head over to kobo.com, enter the promo code CRIME at the checkout. They'll give you 90% off. And if you have used your CRIME promo code in the past, then you can get my new book In Plain Sight with 40% off by entering the promo code PARTNERS. And if you don't like the sound of that, then first of all, just go away. And second of all, you might like Bob's recommendation of the week, which I see before me.
Right, well, I am, after last week's debacle, I found myself reading this. I read this a couple of weeks ago. It's called Deep Dirty Truth by Steph Broadrib, and it's got very strong recommendations. I have to say I absolutely loved it too, from Ian Rankin, who says it's like Midnight Run, which is one of my favourite films, but much darker, really, really good, and it is. A real cracker, says Mark Billingham, and Lee Child says, my kind of book, in that wonderful sort of Manchester American tone of his, which is, I think it's quite hypnotic. Anyway, this is what it's about, because this is what it says on the back cover, so I hope they've got this bit right. A single mother bounty hunter, Laurie Anderson, finally has her family back together, but her newfound happiness is shattered when she's snatched by the Miami mob, and they want her dead. Rather than a bullet, they offer her a job: find the mob's numbers man, who is in protective custody after being forced to turn federal witness against them. If Laurie succeeds, they'll wipe the slate clean, and the price on her head and those of her family will be removed. If she fails, they all die. With North due in court in 48 hours, Laurie sets off across Florida, racing against the clock to find him and save her family. Only in this race, the prize is more deadly, and the secret she shares with JT more dangerous than she ever could have imagined. In this race, only the winner gets out alive. Well, there we are. That's the description. I mean, you'd think, well, yes, have I read that before? But you haven't. I mean, because really, Steph Broadribs just writes with such pace and clarity and very detailed character descriptions that you're thrown in from the beginning and you really don't put it down. I read this in actual paperback, but more on my Kobo. And so if you have got a couple of days and you want to get through a cracking thriller, then this is the one I would recommend to you. Steve Kavanagh says it's brilliant and pacey. Is there any other big names here? Well, there's the big papers, of course.
Well, I think the big one that always makes people decide whether to read a book or not is hearing you rifle through the pages on...
Oh, yeah, so this is how this one sounds.
Oh, you can hear the pace, can't you? And that ending,
nice little flip that had Florida written all over it. Anyway, full of American colour. Great story. Heart-pounding crime fiction at its best. That's Deep Dirty Truth by Steph Broadrib.
Well, when we talk about heart-pounding, a few of you I know, because I've seen you talking about it in to relevant Facebook groups, have been watching Traces, which aired earlier this week. The first, I think, on Monday night. 6 episodes of that on Alibi, which is one of their digital channels that specialises in crime fiction-y stuff. Traces comes from an original idea by crime writer Val McDermid, set in Dundee. Stars Laura Fraser, Molly Windsor and Martin Compston from Line of Duty, who gets to do his actual accent in this one, I expect. Essentially, sorry, go on.
That may come as a surprise to an awful lot of people who think that he's a southerner, because he does a very good... Yeah,
I did for years.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
It's a cracking southern accent, actually.
He does a very, very good accent. I mean, but he's not. He's Scottish, and so enjoy his Scottishness to its full by watching this. I've not seen it, I have to say, so I'm agog.
This is it. No, neither of us have seen it, so I'm not quite sure why we're talking about it, but we felt we should. Essentially, what we do know is it's about 3 women who work together at the Scottish Institute of Forensic Science and must join forces with their scientific brilliance to ensure a historic crime is cracked. I'm going to watch it. It's on the list, but then again, so are lots of things at the moment.
Well, that sounds interesting. Well, I can see where I presume that Val, who's steeped in forensic knowledge, I mean, her own book on forensics is absolutely brilliant, and also she's very good friends and works closely with Professor Sue Black, whose book was out this year, and that's a terrific read for people who are interested in such things, of which there seem to be many, many, many worldwide. So I'm going to watch that. It's going to be on. It is on record, actually. Good. I actually record, but I still an old-fashioned boy. I still record. I know I can get it on catch-up, but I've been caught out on catch-up a few times where the sell-by life on date on catch-up has run out, and I've gone to look at it, and it's been wiped. So when there's something I really, really, really want to see, I go back to the good old-fashioned way of
get your Betamax out the loft.
Of actually watching it when it actually goes out. No, but watching it on catch-up.
I've got my box is completely full because as you know, as we talked about on this show before, my guilty pleasure aired over the past 3 weeks, which is I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. I'm very much not a celebrity watcher. I'm very much not a reality TV fan, but I do make an exception for that programme, and of course that has kept me occupied for the last 3 weeks. It's an hour and a half a night. It's rare I even get that time to watch TV, never mind any more than that.
Well, do you know what? This year escaped me, because obviously last year we were we were glued to it because I've got relations involved in it, and so. But I did catch the final, and what have you. It's because what happens when you work late, work at night. You don't catch these things. But yes, I mean it looks terrific. Ant and Decker, their usual marvellous self, and
nothing on us, but
but it is. I like it. I must admit, I find it incredibly relaxing. I wasn't quite as involved for obvious reasons. Well, maybe not obvious to everyone, but for personal reasons as I was last year. But it's still a great format, and the proof's in the pudding.
It's a very positive show
strong.
as well. You know, they don't kind of ruin people's lives or anything like that. It's very positive, overcoming adversities and fears and things like that. So I like it.
I watched last night the Extras, Ricky Gervais's Extras Christmas special, where his character Andy Millman ends up on Celebrity Big Brother, and I mean it's it's genius. It's absolute genius. Looking at a show that I don't particularly like, well, it doesn't exist anymore, I don't think, or whatever, and the negative side of so-called reality television. It makes me laugh. There's nothing real about reality television. It's all set up. Everything's set up. Everything's worked out by producers. Everything is, sort of laid down to get the maximum dramatic effect. So it's the complete reverse of reality. It's unreality.
Although, talking of Christmas specials, I'm going to bring this a little mention forward, actually, while I've got an open goal, and talk about our Christmas special, which comes out next week. It's not going to be on the Friday. It's going to be a couple of days later, probably on the 23rd, 24th, because it's a Christmas special, and Christmas being whatever it is on a Wednesday this week, I think it is, we figured that you don't really want your Christmas special to come out on the 27th. That's a little bit weird, so we thought we'd bring it forward. So, well, we're kind of, I guess we're missing an episode in the long run because we're nudging one further back and bringing one further forward. I don't know.
This time of year, different rules apply. We can do what we like.
Yeah, but that'll be up on the 23rd or the 24th. So have a look out for that. Not on the usual day, not on the Friday, but it will be a Partners in Crime Christmas special. We will be festive, and we do have a very special treat coming up on next week's show, which does include some pre-recorded stuff which we've just been doing before recording this one. It's going to require a bit of
I walked through the door and Cecil B. DeMille here had whole extraordinary plans for the Christmas special. Anyway, yes, that's going to be hopefully a lot of fun. And of course, when it comes out on the 23rd, you can still listen to it on the 27th if you want. That's the wonderful thing about this.
Listen to it in June if you like.
Total flexibility.
Yeah,
as long as you make time to listen to the Queen on Christmas Day. Yeah.
Listen to it in June if you want to. I mean, last year actually we did a Christmas special, didn't we? We did. Didn't we do a live video one? I think. And we were sitting there wearing silly hats, weren't we? In the old studio.
That was us in the old studio. Is that a year ago? Gosh me. Yeah. We've been going that long.
I'm sure Moriarty's going to dig out the photos to use as the episode artwork for this show. But where I was going before that was a story I saw on bookriot.com this week. We've spoken numerous times this year actually about I guess gratuitous violence against women in crime fiction.
Yes.
And the awards that was out for books which didn't have female victims or didn't glorify, I guess, violence against women. It's a very difficult one. We've talked about this numerous times. Of course, glorifying violence against anybody is not good. Some people on some sides say, well, actually, most crimes and most murders, the victim is a woman. So I guess the fiction somewhat reflects that. But then again, you can say, well, how much of it is because fictionally women are the victims and therefore that might influence what happens in reality? Who knows? But
I think that's true in crime fiction and life. But I think actually in real life, I think that it's probably considerably more male deaths when you take into consider knifing and gangs and goodness knows what else.
On that front, yeah.
Which must tragically claim many lives, but certainly, as right. I mean, Craig Sisterton, wrote a wonderful article which we covered in the programme this year on exactly the same subject. So, what conclusions does who's written this?
Well, this is an article on bookriot.com, which they list. They compiled a list of mystery books where the victim isn't a woman for the 2020 Read Harder Challenge. So they had a look at books where the victim isn't a woman. The article says there is some fantastic writing being published that tackles very real women's issues head-on with nuance and sometimes with massive spotlights. It's necessary and excellent work being done. There is, however, a disgusting amount of sexism, misogyny and violence against women that feels written for sport. Disposable, romanticised, fetished girls. So they've gone, right, draw a line under the whole lot and have books in which women aren't the victims at all, whether fetishised or normalised. The list that they've come up with is the Goldie Vance books by Hope Larson and Brittany Williams, which is, I've never heard of it, but it's a series about a teen girl working as a valet in a Florida hotel who really is constantly meddling and solving cases for the hotel. So quite a gentle, cosy kind of thing. Iced in Paradise, a Leilani Santiago Hawaii mystery by Naomi Hirihara, which again, a cosy series. A Lady's Guide to Etiquette and Murder by Diane Freeman, which is described as a delightful new historical mystery. They've got a bit of a theme there. They're all very kind of cosy and gentle. Yes. And then you have Drive Your Plough Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. Antonia Lloyd-Jones did the translation, in which Janina lives in a remote Polish village where her neighbour Bigfoot, who is human and not a fairy beast, was recently found dead. Then more suspicious deaths follow. So again, a nice, gentle, cosy one. Fake ID by Lamar Giles. Nick Pearson is in witness protection with his parents, and once again they had to move. Seems his dad can't stay away from crime, and this time they've been warned that this will be the last time the programme moves them and keeps helping if he doesn't behave. That actually sounds like a really good book. I'm going to get that one myself. Secrets, Lies and Crawfish Pies by Abby L. Van Diver. Good zany character, small town mysteries. Again, very much a cosy style book. And excuse me, The Other Americans by Layla Lalami, which they say about this here: at the core is the fallout of a crime, a hit and run that kills a Moroccan immigrant. We follow as his daughter Nora and wife Mariam remember their relationship with him, wait for the police to solve the case, and grieve. So that's the list that Bookriot came up with. So yeah, there we go. It kind of follows on from things we've been talking about. Oh, what on earth was that?
I don't know. I think that was James.
Was that your kneecap?
No, my kneecap is capable of such sounds, I'm afraid. But that definitely wasn't my kneecap.
Oh, okay.
I think that was
my child.
Your firstborn.
My child, yes, my only born if it carries on like that. And I think while I'm doing the news, I read in Pop Sugar magazine this week, which of course I read from cover to cover every week. If you were obsessed with Bodyguard when it dropped last year, then get ready for another gripping crime drama coming to a screen near you. World Productions, who are behind Bodyguard and Line of Duty, have announced a brand new drama coming to BBC One called Show Trial. It's another crime thriller. It's a 6-part series exploring a brand new case, showing both sides of the story from arrest through to the verdict. It will follow the fictional court case of Talitha Campbell, the arrogant daughter of a wealthy entrepreneur who was arrested following the disappearance of fellow student Hannah Ellis, the hard-working daughter of a single mother. That's according to BBC. They haven't announced a release date yet, but I think if we're looking, where are we now, December now, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a kind of an autumn Christmassy type job for next year. For
that sounds so. There's a lot of stuff going on. Well, last night I watched something on the television, which I wasn't expecting to fall into the category of crime, or obviously, well, not obviously, it was a drama, so it fell into the category of fiction, and it's called Elizabeth is Missing, starring the great Glenda Jackson. So I'm going to read a little bit about it and then give you my thoughts on it. Paul Hirons of the marvellous The Killing Times writes about it. The feature-length one-off has already grabbed the headlines, because it marks the return of Oscar-winning actress Glenda Jackson to television for the first time in 25 years. She has, of course, been doing other things. That's quite a big deal, especially when you think about the quality of Jackson's body of work over the years. But Elizabeth is Missing has something else going for it. It's based on Emma Healy's best-selling debut novel, which provoked a furious bidding war, and quite naturally, whose rights were quickly snapped up by television. It has an intriguing premise, and on the outset feels more like a moving, cosy crime, amateur sleuth story in the making. But Elizabeth is Missing never quite panders to the genre conventions, and is instead ostensibly a poignant study of memory and a woman living with Alzheimer's. I won't go into this the main story, because you do start off, you think, well, this is, there's Glenda Jackson, still extraordinarily powerful just after years as an MP in this country, but she's back. She's actually just recently done King Lear on Broadway, which was a huge success, and in London. So she's back, as they say, and how. But this is, you start off thinking, well, this is going to be about a woman sadly losing her mind to Alzheimer's, and the confusion and distress and possible catastrophe that would lead to. But as it goes on, you suddenly discover that this is in actual fact a mystery, as this woman is desperately getting the past and the present mixed up as she searches for her friend Elizabeth, who she is convinced that has gone missing in the present, but also flashbacks and memories of someone else who went missing when she was a much, much younger woman come to haunt her. And as the film progresses, of course, we learn far more about the appalling events of her youth. So it's quite extraordinary. She is, as I say, just wonderful. She gives a beautifully nuanced and very real performance as in the lead role of someone, as I say, sort of struggling with Alzheimer's, but desperately trying to hang on to the present, but also come to terms with the past. So that is going to be on Catch Up. If you haven't had a chance to see it, as I say, it's on the BBC. I'm fairly certain it's on the BBC.
I think it is. Yeah.
It is the BBC. It's Elizabeth is Missing. It comes from a book, and this is something else that I've been meaning to talk about, because I was talking to a producer friend of mine a little while ago, and she was saying that more and more projects for television aren't taken from books. You've mentioned Val McDermid's. Val's concept has been turned into television. And we have obviously this Elizabeth is Missing from Emma Healy's best-selling book. So they have sort of come from an idea and a book, but increasingly crime series are developed from ideas that producers take from writers and work into stories for television, and they've never been books. And I've sometimes thought, well, in fact, I've had a chat with a friend of mine who's got a very successful series on. I said, have you sort of doing it in reverse? You've got a very successful detective series, and it's coming up to its fourth outing. Why don't you start turning them into books? Because that would probably work. He's got no interest in doing that, but maybe someone will do it for him. And also another thing that came up with this is the difference between broadcasters, American broadcasting and Netflix or whatever, is they tend to run their stories over far longer periods. And I know there are financial restraints in the UK in production, which sadly stop the development of anything longer than 6 episodes. It seems to me, if it goes any longer, it's a very rare event. And I always think that's a shame, because one of the great successes of drama on television in recent years has been the long player. My daughter's just got herself a what I call a record player, and she's into vinyl in a big way. And I said, well, you've got your nice little collection of LPs you've just started. And she said, what's an LP? Anyway, we haven't got any long players outside of the major soaps in drama, and I wonder whether we'll ever get to a state of one being able to afford to, or indeed have the vision and confidence to move forward in certainly thrillers and crime drama, to actually extend stories over 12, 13 episodes.
Sorry, I just leant on my stapler and it just shot out.
And he now cannot get up from the chair.
It just shot out
6
the bit where you
staples
refill them.
Pinning you to your leather swivel. Yeah, that's real drama.
Anything to stop a Bob monologue.
Yes, I've
get the stapler out.
That's probably one of the less subtle nudges I've ever had. But anyway, so that's me going on about that. Be interested to know what people think. A story lasts as long as a story lasts, but the ambitions for what a story can be sort of shouldn't necessarily be tempered by financial restraints or lack of vision. And I'm sure that hundreds upon hundreds of writers, novelists out there with projects that could actually become long players, so we could actually get hooked into a series that lasts for a few months as opposed to being over within a month. So anyway, there we go. That's my musings on that particular subject. But Elizabeth is missing. Catch it while you can.
You finished?
Yes. He's very good. At least he stayed awake for that one. Usually I have to give him a nudge.
We had a lovely little segue that was about to happen there. You're talking about Elizabeth is missing with Glenda Jackson.
Mr. Segue. There's nothing he hates more than a missed segue.
Well, the thing is, we started the show talking about politics.
Yes.
And general elections. And of course, Glenda Jackson, as he said, apart from having a wonderfully long and illustrious acting career, somehow managed to have 23 years as a Member of Parliament. Which is more than a career in itself, isn't it?
Yes.
So she was a Labour MP and minister under Tony Blair.
Yep, she was. And did some very, very, very fine work in that time. Yeah,
so I thought I'd just throw that in there and mention that we started on politics and ended on politics, which isn't bad, I suppose, for a crime fiction podcast.
Well, there's an awful lot of worldwide politics which I think are looking at the end game at the moment.
Yes.
It's been very interesting and a little frightening to see where it all leads.
Certainly is criminal as well.
Yes.
But on that note,
yes.
Happy Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
We're going to be back, as we say, next week for our Christmas special. Not on Friday, but a few days later, on the Monday or the Tuesday, 23rd or 24th. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. It's a very special episode. We have a little special something for you on that one to celebrate almost 2 years of Partners in Crime. And of course, that little thing called Christmas.
That little thing called Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house nothing was moving, not even the murdered body in the cellar.
We might need to do some work on that one.
Partners in Crime was presented by Adam Croft and Robert Daws and produced by Adam Croft. The theme tune was by the Caesareans. The Partners in Crime logo and imagery were designed by Stuart Beisch. Partners in Crime is sponsored by Kobo, your favourite local bookshop, perfected.